some situations. Hello and welcome back to our YouTube channel. First of all, here's wishing you a very happy new year. Second of all, I really apologize for the lighting. I wanted to shoot this video during the day, but obviously I didn't get the time, so I have to work with my bedroom lighting, and my bookshelf is positioned this way, so it's gonna be a little bad, but it's fine. As long as you can hear me, I think we're good. After I posted the previous video that has all of our online book club picks for 2026, I was really confused about what video to do next. And so we put up a poll on our Instagram and we asked our readers what they want to hear from us. And most of you voted for the best books I read in 2025. I think I read around 37 or 38 books in 2025, and I would say that I had a blast this last year because all of the books that I read were great reads, and I can proudly say that 2025 has been like a very good reading year for me, and I hope and I pray that 2026 also remains that way and I do not get too many bad reads. We'll see how that goes. I did have one book that I DNF'd last year though. Is it weird that we are already saying last year for 2025? But anyway, the name of the book is The Inheritance of Loss by Kiran Desai. Now, I actually really loved her writing. It's immaculate, but somehow the story was just not connecting with me. And I thought, maybe I should come back to this book when maybe I'm in the right mind space for this. So I DNF'd it, but I might give it another chance. Because I'm actually reading The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny on Audible whenever I get the time. It's very on and off. I'm not reading it at a stretch. But honestly, that story is something that I really got into quickly. So it's definitely worth giving this other book another chance, I feel. Coming back to the books that I enjoyed, um, I haven't even counted the books that I'm going to list in this video. I think we'll do a count right at the end. But the books that I'm going to tell you about today are books that I rated 4, 4.5, and 5 stars. I'm not going to go into what book I rated what, because for me there's just a very tiny difference between all of them. But these are books that I would definitely recommend to everybody. However, having said that, the books that I rated 3 and 3.5 are also amazing books, and I would recommend them maybe to like a specific audience. So I won't include those here, but these that are in this video are definitely books that all of you watching this video should read. I'm gonna go month wise because I think it's easier that way, and I have my list of books here on Storygraph as we go. I think in Jan, the book that I read and really loved was Orbital by Samantha Harvey. It's a really short book. It's a book about 6 astronauts who are orbiting the Earth. It's a very interesting book. It's a book that is absolutely reflective. I feel like this story and in general, the idea behind the book really humbled me right in the beginning of 2025. And I went into this year with a lot of kindness and compassion for my planet and for everybody around me. Because some of the things in this book are so thought provoking, you really have to sit down and think about how beautiful this planet is. And when you look at Earth from the point of view of these six astronauts who are in space, and you realize that we are actually such a small part of such a big universe. It's a very humbling experience, and it's quite short. So I would say that if you want to start your year with something that is going to ground you, I think you should read this one for sure. Next, I read two audiobooks back to back on Audible. One of them is a thriller, the other one is a book that I recommend to everybody. But let's start with the thriller. The thriller is called Listen for the Lie. It's by Amy Tintera, and it's basically about this girl called Lucy Chase, who is very ordinary. She has quite a ordinary job, but one day she wakes up to a podcast that is literally about her, and which kind of claims that maybe she is the murderer, but she does not remember doing this murder. Like, basically nobody is sure who the murderer is, and the person who is dead is actually her own best friend. So the premise is great. Really loved the writing style. Some of the lines are very, very creepy. And because she finds out about this true crime podcast that is called Listen for the Lie, and because I was reading it on Audible, I felt like I'm listening to a podcast within a podcast, which was like a very unique experience in itself. I basically love a thriller in which I am not able to guess what's going to happen. If any mystery book or thriller book does that for me, that's like straight up, that book is something that I would recommend to everybody. But there are a few people who said that, oh, it was very predictable. So if you ever read it or are planning to read it, and just come back and tell me whether you guessed it or not. The other audiobook is called Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. Again, this is such a warm, cozy book. It's about an elderly woman who is working in an aquarium. She has basically lost her son and her husband, and she's dealing with a lot of loneliness, a lot of grief. But she loves working at this aquarium, and there are things that she does in a certain way that really puts her in a routine, and she kind of forms a friendship with this remarkably bright creature. And it's beautiful because I feel like this book talks about a lot of emotional issues in such a subtle and beautiful way. It feels like a hug for sure. And even though the topics are a little complex, the book reads really well and beautiful, and it doesn't feel very heavy. So if you're ever in a mood to read something light but at the same time has a lot of emotions, this is something that you can definitely read. Alright, the next book is a book that we read for our online book club, and the name is 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. It's a very different story, it's a very unique story, and it's a very subtle fantasy, but again, emotional and reflective. Beautiful writing, beautiful world building, I must say that I loved the world building in this book. It takes a little time to get into this book because you are a little bit lost in the beginning somewhere. But once you get the hang of it and you understand what's happening, this book reads so well. And there are certain quotes and um, paragraphs in this book that you relate to so well as a reader. So I absolutely enjoyed reading this one. And like a Listen for the Lie felt like listening to a audio book or a podcast within a podcast. This is like a book within a book. And again, I think I love these layered kind of writing styles. So, like I said, it's a very underrated book. So, if you're looking for like a book that feels like an escape, this should be your pick. Okay, now along with our So They Read book club, I also joined a local book club which is run by a friend, and it's basically part of the Crossword book club. I read Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. This is my first Sally Rooney. Honestly speaking, it was very difficult for me to get into this book because obviously people did warn me about Sally Rooney's use of punctuation and all of that. But the story itself in the beginning felt very haphazard. I didn't know what was happening. I've struggled to actually get the hang of it. But the minute it picked up, it picked up so well. And I think this is such a great book. I've not read her other books, and I'm going to read Normal People this month. So, I mean, if I were to compare, I will only be able to do that this month. But this is, I mean, I don't even have proper words to describe this book. Let me tell you what this book is about. It's about two brothers who have lost their father. So, again, a story about grief and how they navigate through this emotion in their own different ways. And it's so interesting, so um, bizarre to, literally get into somebody's life and uh, like you feel like you're a part of this duo and everything that's happening in here. It's a little big as well, so which is what maybe disappointed me somewhere, but I would still recommend this book to everybody because I don't know, I love reading this one. All right, let's just leave it there. This book is again part of So They Read's book club. It's called Sari Shop by Rupa Bhadra. And okay, if you are Indian, you have to read this book. I'm saying like it's a must that you read this book. It's about Ramchand, who is a sari salesperson. He works in the shop, and for the longest time in this book, almost at 40 or 50%, you don't really know who the main character is because there are quite a lot of characters in this book, and it's a little confusing, I would say, but it's a very real book. It's absolutely raw, and it's written with such brilliance. Like it's literally like holding a mirror in your face. Like, just this is the reality of our country. This book has layers and layers of difficult topics, and there is so much depth that is there in this character, and somehow you may or may not relate, to what is happening, but It's very eye-opening. It is so raw. It's literally like, it's like holding a mirror in front of your face and telling us that, this is the reality of our country, and that yes, these kind of things happen. And I mean, the end is what shocked me the most. This book has really shattered me, and I definitely needed something light after I read this book. But having said that, it's a brilliant book. And if you are a non-fiction reader, I would say I challenge you to read this book and come back and tell me how you liked it or didn't like it. Next, we have Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. People say that if one likes Sally Rooney's writing, mm, Coco Mellors is a very similar kind of writer. And this is amazing. Like, I love this book a lot in terms of the writing, in terms of the characters, the character developments. It's a book about a couple called Cleo and Frank, and it's about their love story, how they meet, what happens after they get married, and it's absolutely, again, a very real book. So real that it got to me. Like, I felt like I read books to escape reality, and this was just too real for me. But I still loved it. I really loved it. Some of the character relationships, some of the relationships that the characters share are so special, and there's so much to learn from each of them. I think she's done a great job with this book, and I can't wait to read Blue Sisters as well. Next, we have a fantasy. It's the second book from the ACOTAR series, A Court of Thorns and Roses. The second book is A Court of Mist and Fury. Those who know about this series obviously know that this is supposed to be the best book in the series, and I agree, very strongly agree, because when I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, I absolutely hated it, and I did not like a single thing about that book. Not the characters, um, especially not the characters. Like, I felt that the female main character was so thanda in that book. But this book is redemption, and how. I mean, the development in her, and she suddenly grows agency. I was impressed. And even though it's my longest read for this year, I would say that every minute of it was worth my time. I loved it. Next, we have Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is about a man who is again leading a very ordinary life, but an incident changes everything for him. And even though the concept is very familiar, everybody knows this concept now, by now, but it was such a great read. It was super, super fast paced. It helped me break my slump. And I read this book quite fast. I think I read it within 3 or 4 days, even when like I had a busy schedule. So I think it's great. The next book I read and loved was The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. Need I say more? It's a book that again feels very heavy, but again absolutely layered. Um, Terrific character arcs, and just some just book where you can ponder upon so many things, and somehow I feel like there's a lot of things that happen uh, in this small town with this small family, I won't say I enjoyed reading this book per se. It's beautiful in terms of writing, it's beautiful in terms of the story. It's a very heartbreaking story again. If you're a fan of good literature, especially by Indian authors, you're gonna love this one for sure. Next book I read again is by an Indian author. It is called Gin Petrol on the Purple Line. It's a book that is set in Delhi, and it has it's about a 9-year-old whose name is Jay, and he has two friends, and they love watching detective shows. And so when they hear of mysterious disappearances in their locality, they feel like they should act police and try and find out what has happened. It is so eye-opening, so reflective, and it just gives you a picture of the reality of what really happens in some parts of this country, and how there are things that still need so much improvement, um, and all from a point of view of this child. So I felt that that's like the most unique aspect about this book, and it's really funny at times and reads like a mystery, but it has a lot of underlying emotional touch. So I loved it. Great book. Next best book of 2025 is 1984 by George Orwell. Now I have not read Animal Farm yet. I know, don't come at me, but I plan to read it this year. This book is so relevant even today. It's dystopian. It talks about a world where people are constantly monitored by the government. A great read. Like, you get so involved with the characters, and some situations in the book just make you so angry. Some situations just make you freeze. And I felt every kind of emotion while reading this book. And again, I feel like it's a very fast paced book. Um, Beautiful writing, obviously. I think I love dystopia as a genre. So I absolutely loved reading this crazy book, which by the way, while I was reading it, every um 20-30 pages I had to pause and think, 1 second, is this real? Like, is this really happening? So it kind of drove me uh borderline crazy, but loved it. If you have not read George Orwell yet, I think this is a good year to pick it up and read. Next, we have a cozy murder mystery called Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. This book is about Vera, who is an old lady who owns a tea shop in San Francisco's Chinatown. And she lives alone. She has a son, but he's far away, he's working somewhere. And she's basically like this nosy Indian auntie who you obviously do not want to meet. Like, if you see her at a function or a party or a wedding, you want to run 10 miles away. But she's so annoying in the beginning. But as the book progresses, I think, the cozy murder mystery aside, I love the characters and how each character develops in their own way. And it basically is a book that turns a murder mystery into like a found family kind of situation. So it's really cute. And well, somebody dies in her murder. Sorry, somebody dies in her tea shop, and that is where the story begins and goes from. I think I really liked it. Of course, because the character is not very lovable right from the beginning, it takes a little time to like her and like the book. But in general, I think it's a very good read, and I think the reason why this is in one of the best books that I read is because it is light-hearted. It has some layers of grief and loneliness here and there, but it's fine. Like, it reads really well, and again, it's fast-paced. So yeah, this next book, okay, is Stephen King's Misery. This is again my first Stephen King book, and I thought it's like paranormal or whatever in the beginning, because all I've heard about, like, most of the books I know that are popular by Stephen King are paranormal or ghost stories. This is a crazy book. Like, it's crazy. We already know what's happening, okay, so there's no mystery anywhere. But oh my god, it's about a, a man who meets with an accident and is rescued by this woman who is apparently a big fan of his, because this man is like a very famous author. But she rescues him, and then she tries to help him out and everything, and things just go south from there, like literally, and it is absolutely crazy. I mean, I don't think I've read such a crazy and bizarre book before this, and which is why I loved it so much. And there are some parts that, like, you get, I got goosebumps, and made me go like, "Oh, what the hell did I just read?" But oh my god, I loved it. I don't know what to say, but it's a great book, and I think I'm in love with his writing and his the way that he weaves his stories. I'm definitely going to read more of his books for sure. Maybe I'll read more of his books and do exclusive Stephen King books YouTube video soon. Let's see. Okay, now this one is very small. Okay, where is it? Just look at the size. It is so tiny. It's called Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. It's This book is about two friends, George and Lenny, and it's set in the times of the Great Depression in California. So obviously they are both struggling to find jobs in the beginning of the book, and they both have a dream, and the book is about how they go about doing things to fulfill this dream. But there are so many things in this book that really make you think, and you literally go into the depths of human behavior with this book. Brilliantly written book, and I think authors who can fit so much in such small, concise, precise writing are just brilliant, I feel. Classic. So if you're new to reading classics, this is like a perfect read. Or if you're new to reading John Steinbeck, again, it's a perfect read because it's so tiny. Please read this one. I think it'll blow your mind. Next one is by my favorite author, and I think this is easily the best book I read this year. I think I would place it on number one. Um, I just love his writing a little too much. The only thing I was disappointed with was the size of this book. It's really long. So it is, because I'm so used to reading on my Kindle also nowadays. Holding this and reading was a little bit difficult, but I want to show you guys the annotations I have made. There are so many. I think I ran out of my tabs at some point while annotating this book. It's basically about, like, the story of a group of friends and how one of them meets a young girl, and how their story eventually helps shaping her life. And if you've read Frederick Backman, you know his kind of writing. It's funny, it's emotional, it's um, so warm, but at the same time, it just gives you insight about what true friendships or what the value of a true community can be. And this book again is representation of that. I mean, it's called My Friends. So I absolutely loved this book. And again, like I said, maybe I'm biased because it's his book, but I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I read it the year it released, because usually I don't get to do that because obviously our list of TBRs is too huge. But I loved it. I just loved it. Next, we have Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. Again, it's such a tiny book and it packs a punch. It's set in 1985 in a Irish town, and this has like a winter Christmassy background, and the protagonist here is is basically a merchant who is very busy during this season, and he has a small family, and um, he's like trying to run his household, but he's also from a background that compels him to do something um, very kind for somebody in this book. I think I gave away the entire plot, but it's such a beautiful book, especially to read during Christmas time, because it talks about kindness and how just one step towards goodness can really change somebody's life. I love this book. It's really a good one. Next, we have Happy All the Time by Laurie Colvin. This book is about two couples who are like, the men are friends, and then they meet their respective partner, and basically about their lives and how they try to navigate a lot of different things. This is solely a book that is very character driven and very light hearted, reads like a rom-com, but at the same time is very real. Again, I think I've read a lot of real and reflective books this year, and this is definitely one of them, even though it might be one of my lightest reads of the year. Fourth last book is Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. It has two. I think the entire series has four parts, but I read the first and the second. That is the story of childhood and the story of return. It is a non-fiction, but written as a graphic novel, and I don't want to get into the plot of this book because then it would just give away everything. But I would say that if you're new to reading nonfiction or memoirs, this book is a great start because it has a lot of humorous dialogues in this, and it just shows tragedy in such a unique way that I absolutely fell in love with the way this book is done up. The next book is Heartlamp by Banu Mushtaq. Most of you may have already read this book or may at least have an idea about this book. Book has a lot of short stories about different women going about their lives, and very different stories. I'm really sorry about the crackers, but this is like the third time they're being burst, and every time I have to pause this video. I'm just gonna continue. Very unique stories, and I think that she brings out the true essence of what a Indian woman goes through in her life. I would say that there were one or two stories that I didn't relate to as much. But having said that, I think this will still be like one of my top reads of this year um, because of all the different um, emotions or all the different topics that are actually part of one book. Like it's concised and put in one little book. So I really like that a lot. Okay, last two. Um, this one is Ahalya by Koral Das Gupta, and this is my this is part of the Sati series. It's the first book in the series, and the minute I started reading this book, I fell in love with the writing style. I don't think I've come across an Indian author whose prose is so poetic and so eloquently written. This book is about Ahalya, who is a character in mythology, in Indian mythology, and of course, it's a retelling about her life from her perspective. From her perspective, so it's a very unique read. It talks a lot about feminine energy. The story is like a reflection into, um, when people try to judge you for anything that you've done, but you actually know the struggles behind um, your own life. It's really nice. I love the writing. I'm very very excited to read the rest of the series. Last one is If We Were Villains by ML Rio. This is one of my top reads because I have not read something like this before. It's about a group of friends who are studying Shakespeare and his plays at a school, uh, at an art school, and how each of them are so different from one another, and how Shakespeare's plays or um, his writing or his stories really influence their lives at such a deeper level. For the longest time, I actually didn't annotate anything in this book, but I started to realize that her writing is so brilliant, and there are certain metaphors that she has used are beautiful metaphors. And this book actually is supposed to be like a thriller, but you actually kind of guess what happens in terms of like the entire plot line. Like I could really predict what happens. I still loved it because it is very very intelligent. I think this kind of writing I find very rare. Not a lot of people can write this intelligently and can weave together two things so beautifully. And even though in the beginning the characters are confusing and you don't know what's happening, by the end of it, it really puts everything together so well. This was again part of our So They Read online book club, and we had this discussion where we said that a lot of people like The Secret History by Donna Tartt as well. All those who have read this book like that book a lot as well, and I'm going to read it in Jan. But this is, I think, I'm not sure if I've read Dark Academia before. I don't know if right now I can't think of the books that come under that genre, but I think it would be like one of my favorite genres if I like the secret history as well. So we'll see. But yeah, this is like the top read, last book that I really really love. That is it. We are at the end of the video, and I'm really thankful to all of these books that I read this year that gave me such a wonderful reading year. And thank you so much if you stayed till the end and if you got a hang of what all I read and loved this year. I'm really looking forward to a wonderful 2026. Hope I'm able to read even better books. If you want to know more about what I'm reading, please follow me on Goodreads and Storygraph as well. Please follow So They Read on Instagram, because that is like we keep updating our stories and we write a lot of reviews and all of the reels and all of that happens on Instagram. So do give us a follow. Please subscribe to this channel as well, and we hope to bring you more long form videos soon. Thank you for watching.